Good morning, and welcome to you. I'm glad you're here. We have gone through this season of Lent. It's a season in the wilderness where we open ourselves to change and transformation. We go through Holy Week as Christ's last week before his death, being with him as he sups with his disciples, is betrayed, mocked and beaten, crucified and killed and laid in a tomb. On Good Friday, his disciples would have assumed that that was the end of the story. And then we go with the women to the tomb on Easter morning. Sometimes that's how my kids feel in church too. And we find this amazing thing that happens. The angels come, the earth quakes. The guards are terrified, I would be too. And then the angels speak to the women and tell them, as we so often hear when God visits prophets or strangers on the road, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. They invite the women to look at the place where Jesus was and to know that he's not there because he has been raised. They take this shocking news and they run to go and tell their friends, Jesus' other friends, what's happened. And they're on the road, they just meet him. And it's like he's there and says, hi. That's what greetings is. That word really jumped out at me preparing for today because it's such a common greeting. Yeah, I died and was in a tomb for 3 days, but I'm here now, so do not be afraid. Hello. Go tell my disciples. Go tell everyone what's happened. This unbelievable thing. We've been looking at John's Gospel as we went through Holy Week. We've actually been going through John's Gospel since Christmas time. And in that beginning of John's Gospel we talked about last night, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And that Word born into the world was the Christ child. And we follow the life of that Christ child through John's Gospel until we reach Good Friday, where his final words on the cross are, "It is finished." And it's a word that means so much more than just, I'm spent. It's that his work on this planet with us, God's work, perfected in God's love, God's work in creation, perfected through the love of Christ shared with the world, is completed. And then we reach Easter morning. Last night we heard again from John's Gospel about Mary Magdalene meeting Jesus in darkness and chaos. And it was when he spoke her name, Mary, that she finally was like that burst of light in a second creation. All the chaos was ordered and she recognized him. This morning's gospel with Mary and the other Mary at the tomb, they recognize Jesus on the road when he greets them. And as we go through these 50 days of Easter, we'll hear other stories. Sometimes they'll recognize Jesus and sometimes they won't. Easter is a mystery. We are invited into this mystery as followers of Christ to be people who live resurrection, to be resurrected with Christ from whatever darkness we're in, from whatever hopelessness or despair we experience. We're invited to rise up, to stand together, strong in community, to proclaim from the mountaintops, he is risen, and we too are risen with him. As Christ's hands and heart continuing on in our world, living out that ministry, we get to be the ones who share that amazing miracle of God's love with others. We get to be the ones that proclaim with our lives through our relationships, that Christ is alive, with us, in us, through us. We get to be the ones who pick up those who are oppressed and downtrodden, who draw in those on the margins, who help to clothe those who are naked and feed those who are hungry, to give a kind word to a stranger, to visit those who need visiting. That's what communities of care and love do. And as we carry on through this mystery of the Easter season, we'll see that unfolding in different ways. One of my good friends, Fred, a number of years ago, was preparing for an Easter sunrise service in San Francisco. He was busily going about trying to get everything organized because he was the person in charge of getting everything ready that morning. I did that this morning. It's a lot of work. And I appreciated the help that I had. But Fred, in his struggle, in his stress to get everything ready to be just right, had a homeless man come up to him and ask for money. And Fred kind of brushed him aside because he was very busy going about getting things ready. And the man was very persistent, asked him several times. And finally, Fred turned around and looked him in the eye and said, "I said I have nothing for you." And without another word, that man stuck his hand in his pocket, pulled out a fist of change, and pressed it into Fred's hand. Fred was apprehensive and said, "What are you doing?" The man said, "This is so you never again have to tell someone, I have nothing for you." And then he walked off into the bustle of the city, and Fred never saw him again. In reflecting on that moment, he said he realized that he had come face to face with Christ in that moment, and that he hadn't even had the decency to look him in the eye and acknowledge his humanity. We don't always recognize the Christ in our midst, but the gift of this season of resurrection, the gift of this season of mystery, is inviting us in to see that Christ is alive amongst us, even now in our world today. Sometimes we are the one who is Christ to another. Sometimes it's us who meets unexpectedly that Christ who walks through the world. The mystery of this day, the mystery of the resurrection, is acknowledging that we're a part of it and trying to figure out for the next 50 days quite what that means. On this day, as we celebrate, as we go out shouting with joy, "Alleluia, Christ is risen," we're invited to contemplate all of what that means. Each of us has the opportunity to be a gift to this world, to the people we meet, to the strangers whose lives we bless, perhaps without even knowing it. I am grateful for each person that is here this day, because each of you is a blessing. Each of you matters. Each of you is worthy of respect and love. Each of you is loved by God. And each of us together in this community is called to go out living our lives as the blessings that God intended us to be. And so I wish you a happy Easter. And say again, "Alleluia, Christ is risen." The Lord is risen indeed. Alleluia. Amen.